Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's a beautiful new day. Thank you so much for being here on Good Morning Uganda. Welcome back from the weekend and welcome to a fresh, brand new week. Now, I hope that your goals are aligned for this week so that whatever you did not achieve last week can be achieved this week. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and today we will be taking you through this segment with Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, I also take this special moment to welcome all the people that represented us back in Mubende as NRM celebrated 39 years of liberation. 39 years since the NRM or NRA took power after a 5-year guerrilla war in the parts of Luwero and other parts of the country. But also there are many people that received medals, over 60 received medals yesterday, and among these Sudil Ruparelia, who is a business mogul, but also we have the Director General at Civil Aviation Authority and many others that received the Presidential Medal of Honor at yesterday's celebration. So it was a good day. It was beautiful stuff going on, but also we were reminiscing on the 39 years of NRM leadership, the things we have gained, the gains, and also the places we aim to see them taking us, as in the NRM government taking us the next few years. It's important to note that the NRM government is where the incumbent president, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, comes from, and it is the party that is leading us after a guerrilla war that happened for over 5 years back in the 80s, restoring peace and hope in the lives of Ugandans. Now, in his speech yesterday, the president of the country, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, did talk about the parish development model and said that he is going to direct banks and other financial institutions to not charge bank charges when it comes to the money families are receiving out of the parish development model, an initiative that is geared towards the alleviation of poverty from the lives of many Ugandans. And he did say that going forward, that 1 million will come full without any bank charges. I think for the families and individuals receiving these funds, this is pretty good news, because the people in Mubende did complain to the president and say they do not receive the full amount, which somehow affects how they use this money. But anyway, we have so many conversations to have today, and I would like to check on Jerome Paul Sonko to see, first of all, how was his weekend? Is he ready for this fresh new week? And of course, this is the last week in the month of January. The 90 days of January are finally ending. Good morning, Jerome.
Good morning, Olive, and good morning to our dear viewer. Here we are, the final week of January. A short-lived month, by the way, surprisingly.
Short-lived?
Yeah, it has.
I want your life.
Why is it short-lived? Because the fact that we are coming to the end of it this week, and the 31st, just right ahead of the corner, just a few days now, just 4 days to the 31st. Unlike other Januaries that were a little bit too long.
Something is not adding up, because in my life, these have been 150 days.
Anyways,
so I don't know what you're talking about.
You never know. It depends on how people have been viewing it. But on my side, I think it has been a short-lived January. And I'm not saying I want it back, but it has been a short-lived one. So we wait to see what February has to present.
Okay.
And again, I also want to welcome back all the Ugandans that were in Mubende, and then also the NRM faithfuls that joined the NRM in celebrating 39 years of liberation. Quite a number of achievements, and the NRM, and that does not cover up the other issues to do with the challenges that the government is facing. However, it is one to celebrate if you are to look at things. But also, before we even got into the liberation celebrations, Olive, there was a statement that was released by State House that revealed that President Museveni did sign an executive order that protects the rights of citizens. And I was going through this particular one, this particular order that he did reveal. Some bit of the statement from the president shows that there is a challenge which has been administrative in nature, and he hereby directs as follows: that every Ugandan citizen has a right to a passport or other travel document and to enter, leave and return to Uganda, the president ordered. So he was further directing upon a receipt of an application of a passport, officials of the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control should address themselves to the provisions of Section 40 of the Citizenship and Immigration Control Act, Cap 313, which only requires the person to produce his or her national identification number and to comply with any other requirements prescribed by the board. So there's a very huge statement on that, but these are some of the briefs within that. So the viewers should know that the president signed an executive order to protect the citizenship
especially
of many Ugandans.
Yes, especially the citizens of Uganda of Rwandan descent, because many of these have faced a lot of trouble, too much trouble, when it comes to getting national identity documents like the national ID, but also the passport. And in some cases, their national identity cards have been confiscated. And the president did say that this is wrong and shouldn't be done by immigration officers, except in cases where they have proof that probably these people are really not Ugandan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, we've also been seeing quite a number of people of Rwanda's, origin. However, when they grew up from here, raised from here, they were even born here. So
Yes.
I think these are incidents where many people, some of them have even formed umbrella bodies like Abavandimwe Association to protect their rights, simply because of some of these incidents that have made it very difficult for them to reside within the country.
And it's really sad, being that this is the country, this is the country where you were born, went to school, but then, and I have a friend, by the way, Joram, that told me to this day she doesn't have a driver's license, she does not have a national ID and a passport because there have been roadblocks, and yet this is the country she has ever known. But her last name is a name that is mainly for people that come from Rwanda. So this is going to be good news for many Ugandans. But let's look at the local news.
And well, with the local news, since yesterday was Liberation Day, we shall kick off with that. The President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, announced that the government will cover all bank charges on the parish development model funds to ensure that the beneficiaries receive the full intended amount. The directive follows complaints that the recipients of the parish development model funds were receiving less than the allocated 1 million Ugandan shillings, and the president made this announcement during the commemoration of the 39th anniversary of the NRMA in Mubende district. Now, the president used the 39th NRM Liberation Day celebrations to emphasize his wealth creation gospel, saying that time had come for more Ugandans to be lifted out of poverty. After citing several examples of Ugandans who had benefited from various farming initiatives, he directed the beneficiaries of the PDM to be spared the bank charges. This followed concerns raised by the Mubende residents that they had suffered deductions on the money they were mandated to receive. The event, which is held to commemorate the end of the 5-year guerrilla war that brought the NRM to power in 1986, was celebrated in Mubende. Now, over 60 Ugandans received medals during the 39th NRM Liberation celebrations, including Prime Minister Robin Anambanja, who was top among the other medalists for Distinguished Service Awards. And away from that, a section of NRM leaders in Luwero district have started offering guidance and assistance to selected learners ahead of the school reopening. They donated items including scholastic materials. With just 1 week to the official reopening of the second term calendar for primary and secondary school, this is to ensure and aid timely reporting for learners, as a section of NRM leaders in Chichusa sub-county in Luwero district stepped up to offer the necessary support. Now, to these leaders, the move is aiming at interesting and facilitating the easy stay of learners in schools. However, these leaders are also vowing to go to ensure schools put into good use whatever resources is accorded to them by the government, to the parents and the beneficiaries, They are all grateful. They are all grateful for this kind gesture. And then lastly, from our local news, UPC's party president, Jimmy Akena, has denied that there is any pact between Uganda People's Congress and the National Resistance Movement. Jimmy Akena revealed to UBC's Daniel Mugoya that he has political interest in the 2026 presidential race. Akena says that the cooperation with the NRM has entirely been through mutual respect but non-formal agreement. The UPC president called upon other political parties in Uganda to respect the constitution and rules governing the political space. And UPC's president further reawakened the Uganda People's Congress's eye over the country's leadership after President Yoweri Museveni. Akena has been a legislator for more than 10 years, representing the former Lira municipality and currently Lira City East. Akena revealed that what sparked his thoughts and intention to join the 2026 presidential race is to make change. Now, angered by the slow pace of service delivery and inequalities in education across the country, the UPC president offered himself as a support machine for the future of Uganda. But this can only happen if the electorate believe in qualitative change and participation in the polls. Akena shared how UPC party has established structures through abiding by the existing legal framework governing the political space. The UPC president disregarded the purported cooperation agreement with the NRM party. He defended his wife Betty Amongi, also gender minister in the ruling government, and Betty Amongi, who is also Oyam South Member of Parliament, wants to host Lira City's Member of Parliament Jane Ruth Acheng in the forthcoming general elections. This has since caused a heavy rift between the two cabinet ministers. So could dialogue with NRM party through iPod and other avenues have strengthened the political environment? Jimmy Akena is aware of the electoral reforms being pursued by a section of political actors, but the UPC president cautions the timing. Akena, however, revealed how restoration of presidential term limits can be a starting point to address the political challenges in the country.
Interesting news. But now let's head right to the United States, where Donald Trump has imposed 25% tariffs on Colombia as deported migrant flights were blocked. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will impose 25% tariffs and sanctions on Colombia after its president barred 2 U.S. military planes carrying deported migrants from landing in the country. Trump said that tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia would be put in place immediately, and in 1 week, the 25% tariffs would be raised to 50%. Colombian President Gustavo Petro responded by saying he would impose retaliatory tariffs of 25% on the U.S. Petro earlier on Sunday said he had denied entry to U.S. military deportation flights. He said he would receive our fellow citizens on civilian planes without treating them like criminals, and migrants must be returned with dignity and respect. U.S. officials told the BBC's U.S. partner CBS News that 2 military planes from San Diego were due to land in Colombia on Sunday with migrant deportees, but those plans were scrapped due to complications. In response, Trump announced urgent and decisive retaliatory measures in a post on Truth Social. He said the U.S. will impose a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on Colombian government officials as well as its allies and supporters. In more news, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he wants Egypt and Jordan to take in Palestinians from Gaza. Trump said he had made the request to Jordan's King Abdallah and planned to ask Egypt's president on Sunday too. Describing Gaza as a demolition site, Trump said, "You are talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing." He added that the move could be temporary or could be long-term. Both Hamas and the Palestinian Authority condemned the proposal. Jordan and Egypt have also rejected the idea. A ceasefire is being observed in Gaza after a deal between Israel and Hamas to halt the war, which began when Hamas attacked Israel on 7th October 2023. About 1,200 people were killed and 251 taken back to Gaza as hostages. More than 47,200 Palestinians, the majority civilians, have been killed in Israel's offensive, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says. Most of Gaza's 2 million residents have been displaced in the past 15 months of the war, which has flattened much of Gaza's infrastructure. The United Nations has previously estimated that 60% of structures across Gaza have been damaged or destroyed, and it could take decades to rebuild. In other news, rebels of the M23 movement say they have taken control of the city of Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo's east. Residents shared videos of M23 rebels patrolling Goma's main streets following a lightning advance against the Congolese army on Sunday that saw tens of thousands of people fleeing neighboring towns. After hours of gunfire and explosions in the streets of Goma, home to more than 1 million people, are now quiet, according to local media reports. It comes hours after DRC's foreign minister accused Rwanda of declaring war by sending its troops over the border to support the M23 rebels. Rwanda says Kinshasa supports militias who want regime change in Kigali. Kenya has called for a ceasefire and announced that the presidents of both the DRC and Rwanda will attend an emergency regional summit in the next 2 days. Kenyan President William Ruto, the current chair of the East African Community, said it was incumbent on regional leaders to help facilitate a peaceful solution to the conflict. Well, with that, we come to the end of our local and international news. Bajaram Paul takes us through the press.
Well, new developments from the Uganda education space do reveal that schools are to lower the cut-off points. This is a move aimed at admitting more Senior 1 learners. There is a report on that in the New Vision today. Now, Museveni orders probe into PDM funds. There is a story and pictorial of the celebrations in Buwende. In today's New Vision, at the front page is the President with Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, after rewarding her with the Distinguished Order of the Crested Crane as a Grand Commander medal, with a total of 61 individuals, including 18 women, were awarded medals at Buwende National Teachers College yesterday. Now, health perspective, tips to avoid a miscarriage. Find details in the New Vision. Now, Museveni warns of cancer in groundnuts. And then the PLE stars, 3 pages of profiles inside the New Vision today. Now, in Kenya, the Daily Nation writes, coalition shopping, rivals seeking to form strong vehicles to oust Ruto, who is working hard to retain his seat. And then there is something to do with a divided house. President William Ruto and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, their parties UDA and ANC, last week merged to form United Democratic Alliance Party. Then Martha Karua and Rigathi Gachagua, they are seeking to unite Mount Kenya region and form a strong alliance aimed at liberating the country. Then Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa, together with Trans Nzoia Governor George Natombea, are working on a deal ahead of 2027 polls. Then Fred Matiang'i and Uhuru Kenyatta, the allies of Mr. Kenyatta, say that the former head of state plans to back Dr. Matiang'i to dethrone President Ruto. Now, also, even though there are signs that Raila Odinga could side with President Ruto in a coalition akin to their working arrangement in 2007 under the Pentagon, Odinga's party seems divided, with party officials they are backing Dr. Ruto or distancing themselves from his camp. Now, inside plan to enroll 15 million learners in Taifa Care. And then in matters justice, judge upholds death sentence for terrorists. Then in transport, 13 people die on roads daily, according to an annual NTCA data reveal. That is also with the Daily Nation. Now, away from the Daily Nation, we turn our focus to the Citizen. That is from Tanzania. The Citizen writes, Tanzania set for economic gains as Samia hosts Energy Summit. Now, the summit offers Tanzania a valuable platform to attract investment in its energy sector providing opportunities to secure funding for large-scale projects. Then what Chadema must do after national leadership election. Then in matters national energy, NMB Bank unveils 100 billion shillings loan for clean cooking. Then tourism players cry foul over towers fee hike. Then there's a new capital market tribunal to enhance investor confidence. That is also in Tanzania. Now there's a breakdown of the summit, which is offering a valuable platform to attract investment in the energy sector, providing opportunities to secure funding for large-scale projects. Down there is 25 is a number of African heads of state who are attending the two-day summit to discuss strategies for ensuring reliable, affordable and sustainable energy access across the continent. Then there is also 300 is the primary goal, which is to expand energy access, and 300 million Africans are supposed to benefit by 2030. And according to Dr. Balozi Moro, a taxation expert, some of these high-profile individuals may choose to invest in Tanzania, particularly in energy projects. This would not only bring in foreign capital, but also create thousands of jobs for Tanzanians. Then lastly, from our press review is the East African. Now the East African right, DRC on Uganda's case over Muhoozi's X tweets. Even as Muhoozi left X, Congo has been rattled by his posts that Kinshasa said were demeaning and biased towards Rwanda, which it accuses of backing the M23. Now also cover M23 on pain of death, Congo reveals to the media. And also Chan plan, is the East African community really ready to host AFCON? That's the bigger question. Now in the magazine, Britain brain rot and how life went literally last year's. Now also news, between famine and utter destruction, UN warns of dire situation faced by those in Sudan. In the big opinion, polls, sun's ringing, that would be the day Generali Ulimwengu casts doubt on elections in 2025. Now money, a trade route safe from future chaos, Maputo violence jolts SADC into exploring alternatives. And then the outlook, what 2025 holds for humanitarian sector. The experts weigh in on trends that will drive the needs. And then in the markets perspective, shilling and banking stock on the rescue, factors behind rebound of trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And that does it for our press review this Monday.
Well, from the press review, we will take a short break, leave you with the inspiration song of the day. But when we come back, I'll be speaking to Frank Gashumba, and we will be digging deeper into the presidential executive order on the rights of Ugandan citizens, especially those of Rwandan descent, on their right to get identification documents like passports and national IDs in Uganda. Stick around because
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's a beautiful new day. Thank you so much for being here on Good Morning Uganda. Welcome back from the weekend and welcome to a fresh, brand new week. Now, I hope that your goals are aligned for this week so that whatever you did not achieve last week can be achieved this week. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and today we will be taking you through this segment with Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, I also take this special moment to welcome all the people that represented us back in Mubende as NRM celebrated 39 years of liberation, 39 years since the NRM or NRA took power after a 5-year guerrilla war in the parts of Luwero and other parts of the country. But also there are many people that received medals, over 60 received medals yesterday, and among these Sudil Ruparelia, who is a business mogul, but also we have the Director General at Civil Aviation Authority and many others that received the Presidential Medal of Honor at yesterday's celebration. So It was a good day, it was beautiful stuff going on, but also we were reminiscing on the 39 years of NRM leadership, the things we have gained, the gains, and also the places we aim to see them taking us, as in the NRM government taking us the next few years. It's important to note that the NRM government is where the incumbent president, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, comes from, and it is the party that is leading us after a guerrilla war that happened for over 5 years back in the 80s, restoring peace and hope in the lives of Ugandans. Now, in his speech yesterday, the president of the country, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, did talk about the parish development model and said that he is going to direct banks and other financial institutions to not charge bank charges when it comes to the money families are receiving out of the parish development model, an initiative that is geared towards the alleviation of poverty from the lives of many Ugandans. And he did say that going forward, that 1 million will come full without any bank charges. I think for the families and individuals receiving these funds, this is pretty good news, because the people in Mubende did complain to the president and say they do not receive the full amount, which somehow affects how they use this money. But anyway, we have so many conversations to have today, and I would like to check on Jerome Paul Sonko to see, first of all, how was his weekend? Is he ready for this fresh new week? And of course, this is the last week in the month of January. The 90 days of January are finally ending. Good morning, Jerome.
Good morning, Olive, and good morning to our dear viewer. Here we are, the final week of January. A short-lived month, by the way, surprisingly.
Short-lived?
Yeah, it has.
I want your life.
Why is it short-lived? Because the fact that we are coming to the end of it this week, and the 31st, just right ahead of the corner, just a few days now, just 4 days to the 31st. Unlike other Januaries that were a little bit too
Jerome,
long
something
to
is
say.
not adding up, because in my life, these have been
a long
150
one.
days.
Anyways,
So I don't know what you're talking
never know.
about.
You never know. It depends on how people have been viewing it.
Okay.
But on my side, I think it has been a short-lived January. And I'm not saying I want it back, but it has been a short-lived one. So we wait to see what February has to present.
Okay.
And again, I also want to welcome back all the Ugandans that
BBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondolo. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari heritage advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
This week on UBC.
My name's Jung Gwonjong. I'm the boss of this entire hotel. My duties include heavy lifting, spreading happiness, and driving fancy cars. I'm responsible for the area by the hotel entrance. And I officially moved into the sunroom. You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what?
To maximize my space, I needed to improvise a bit. That day, she walked into my life. Hi.
So, insurance, right?
Huh? Like that. I can.
Don't let him scam you. We don't want your investments or insurance.
I met the woman of my dreams.
I'll take you home. I got the Maserati.
How do you spell Maserati?
M-A-S-H.
Okay, we're leaving. You shouldn't drive, especially not in that car. The cops will fine you extra. His family's got money and don't know what to do with it.
What's your name? Huh? I'm reporting you.
If I were to be with a guy like that, I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror.
Maybe all rich guys are like that. I'm not a rich guy. I'm down to earth. No, don't. It's not worth it. But after I met you, I suddenly got out of bed.
John Wonjong, I really was wrong about you. After meeting me, you learned to walk. This isn't a love story, it's a medical miracle.
And all the women in the club will be like sisters to me.
Respect is most important in a relationship. If a man doesn't respect a woman, then he's no man. Here, keep it safe. It's your playbook. Trying to be meaningful all day with them. In the end, you'll still be single with a bunch of new mom.
I was smiling all day, every day. When I woke up every morning, I wanted to yell out, I'm so happy. If there's such thing as a miracle.
You're not a miracle. You're a maniac.
Most of the time, our lives are lackluster. You add all the brilliant moments, or what we call miracles. Welcome
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum. Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service include Aswa Farm in Pade District, northern part of Uganda.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through my felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa Group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
Our manager and as a technical person in this place. It is a new farm among the new farms which are introduced for food security, and we are seated on an acreage of about 30,000 acres.
As of now, about 2,000 acres is under cultivation for commercial maize production, with several harvests already realized over time. Additionally, storage facilities are being established to ensure efficient handling and distribution of produce.
We are happy that in the neighborhood of Rugole, we are putting a silo which is going to be a bulk storage, and who produce from here can be evacuated and taken to Rugore.
An agricultural engineer deployed in Rugore Prison Farm. I am most welcome to Rugore Prison, and this is the Silo project, which has a capacity of 3,000 metric tons. It is meant to help in improving the storage capacities and also improving on the post-harvest handling mechanisms.
Projected that in the next 3 to 4 years, Uganda Prison Service is expected to complete the overall 30,000 acres through establishment of more prison facilities within an agricultural complex.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, you are still watching Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Now, earlier, I did mention that we are going to look deeper into the executive order regarding citizens' rights, especially when it comes to getting documentation like national IDs and passports. Now, over time, many Ugandans from some communities have been denied their right to access documentation, especially national identity cards and passports. Now, the president has signed an executive order saying that all Ugandans have a right to get documentation, passports, and national IDs. It goes also on to clarify that the only documentation a person needs at the point of acquiring a passport is a national ID. And it goes on to also say that except if the officials at the Internal Affairs Ministry have proof that a person is really not Ugandan, they cannot stand in their way to getting a passport. And in the executive order, the president also clarifies that people that have lived in Uganda's borders have a right, but he also, there is somewhere where he mentions that the right to be a citizen in Uganda is either by birth or naturalization, among others. But he says that because some people are citizens by birth, the current law has been deterring some of their children have not been recognized as citizens of Uganda. And he did call upon the agencies that are responsible to clarify and clear this anomaly, so that if someone is a citizen by naturalization or by birth, their children should be automatically citizens of Uganda. So that's the conversation we are having today, and I am with Mr. Frank Gashumba, who is an activist and also someone that has been speaking passionately about the issue of citizenship and the right to have the right documentation in the country. Good morning, and you're welcome.
Morning, Mom. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's great to have you back.
I think you last hosted me here last year.
Yes.
Regarding the same.
Regarding the same.
With Mr. Mundenyi.
Yes.
The spokesperson of
Internal Affairs.
Yes, an amazing man. Unfortunately, working with vampires.
Why would you say that?
I know Simon one-on-one. And I know they are like 95% of Ugandans working at the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Immigration. They are good people. Unfortunately, they are, which other name should I use? Terrorists working there. They are very good people at Internal Affairs. Actually, it's them even providing us with more information. And the argument has been very clear from day one. Article 10 of the Constitution of Uganda clearly states, to be a Ugandan, you must belong to the below listed indigenous communities that existed in Uganda before February 1926. These indigenous communities include Baganda, Bateso, Banyankole, Bachiga, Atesots, even Banyarwanda are included. That's where the contention has been. When a Muganda is applying for a passport or a national ID, he's told, Tambula ngo Muganda.
That's right.
Basically, what's your name, what's your clan, what's your grandfather, blah, 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 blah. Which schools did you go to? The moment he narrates his history, he's told, go to Chambogo and pick your passport next week. When a Munyarwanda, indigenous Munyarwanda, goes to apply for the passport, the questionnaire changes. That prove us with the forensic documents that your parents existed in Uganda before 1926. Nobody has those documents. And again, there were no certificate issued to residents of Uganda or citizens of Uganda to prove that a citizen called Frank Gashumba is issued with a document to prove that he has been in Uganda before 1926. That's where our argument has been. Selective application of the Constitution of Uganda. There's no office we've not been to, every office that matters. Uganda Human Rights Commission, Equal Opportunities Commission, the former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, the current Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, the Prime Minister of Uganda, same thing. Then, you know what, we had resorted to go to court so that the court pronounces itself. Then we said, you know what, before you can go to court, let's go to the president, meet the president, explain to him what our people are going through. We met the president, and trust me, the president was very concerned. I saw him making phone calls from different office of the Attorney General, because legally the Attorney General's office, it's an only institution that guides the president on the law. And the Attorney General's office guided him right. And he said, you know what? I'm going to issue an executive order regarding this. First, it's a sign of vote of no confidence to General Kaindo Tafiri, because he was supervising an institution that was really practicing discrimination day in, day out. Ma'am, the people, Ugandans that have been denied national IDs and passports, these are poor people. Young boys who have graduated from Makere, from Nkumba, from Victoria University, all over, who have no jobs, and their interest was to go to Dubai, go to Qatar. Imagine being a civil engineer and you are ready to be a cleaner in someone's house. Imagine being imagine someone who did medicine and she's ready to be an askari in Dubai, and they had successfully created a ring. They were not being issued passports. Now, let me even tell you this more. The Constitution of Uganda mentions that you are Ugandan, right?
Yes.
If you dated an Eritrean tomorrow and you bear a kid, that kid becomes a Ugandan.
Yes.
There are many cases we've been receiving. A Muganda marrying a Munyarwanda. A young boy goes to immigration and he says, my name is James Mugerwa. And he's told stupid.
Just because he looks more like his mother.
Yes. You mean you're Ugandan? You get it. And they would always chase them away. You get it. Because of their physical appearance. Basically, this discrimination has been based on your name and your physical appearance. So as Banyarwanda, we are very grateful to the President of Uganda. Extremely grateful. Because finally, what we've been fighting for, we've secured it.
Wow. That's very, very true. And I think it's a relief to many people, especially from the Banyarwanda community, but also the other communities. Now, let's have
You're right. There are many border communities. Many. They have been coming to my office. What do we do this? How do we handle this? I said, you know what? We are pushing it. I don't know how many phone calls I've received since Friday. I don't know how many phone calls. Single mothers, blah, blah, blah. You get it. There's an old lady, she's 72 years. She's meant to travel to UK for further management. She's not feeling well. Her children, 2 live in Europe and 2 live in the US. They denied her a passport. The level of arrogance, impunity, and discrimination, and corruption at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And it's, by the way, Nira, the corruption is a bit minimal, but
because you'll find that some of them have the national IDs,
yes,
but then they get confiscated at the Internal Affairs
Because let me tell you, look at a scenario. These national IDs were issued at local levels, meaning the LOCs were involved. But someone is issued a national ID, meaning he's a Ugandan 100%. The moment he tries to travel to Congo or Rwanda, that national ID is confiscated from Katuna Ogaji Tumba. And the law is very clear. Nobody has the right to confiscate your official document unless you are heard. You get it?
Yes.
So successfully, these officials had become the constitution of Uganda. Now, for example, the president said, in Uganda we have local authorities. Let local authorities take over. If an applicant called Frank Gashumba is applying for a passport, there are local authorities that can certify that Frank Gashumba is a son of the late Antonio Gashumba of Villa Maria, Masaka district. You get it?
Yes.
Now, these officials at Nila and Immigration, they had successfully become the prosecutors, the judges, the everything.
And the execution.
Yes. That's, by the way, viewers on UBC now, indigenous Banyarwanda are not demanding for special treatment in Uganda. No way. We want to be treated like any other person in Uganda. You get it? You find a young boy whose grandparents were buried in Uganda in 1930. Both his parents were buried in Uganda and is being told to go and naturalize. The president really asked a beautiful question that, how can a citizen bear a non-citizen? You get it?
Yes.
How can a citizen bear a non-citizen?
That is the anomaly he said should be corrected.
Actually, it's not even an anomaly. It's not an anomaly. They were doing it deliberately. Actually, I know those people are fighting 24 hours. They are fighting this government based on their behaviors. After the news of the executive order, I received a phone call of a young boy who had given up on Uganda, that he had tried 1,000 times in the last 8 years. They had denied him a passport. Can you imagine?
Those are lost opportunities.
Yes. Lives. There are three examples. There are those who were denied a passport and they had secured jobs. Those opportunities. There are those who were denied passports and their main intended travel reason was to go for further medication. Some are dead. We even buried a lady in the Fort Portal. Then there's another group, those who were awarded scholarships. Someone is awarded a scholarship to go and study in Germany or Canada, a fully paid for scholarship, and is denied a passport. There is a young boy who came to our press conference last week. He had secured a fully paid for trip to Hollywood, to perform in Hollywood. They denied him a passport. The only crime he had committed is his physical appearance and the name. If your name is Gashumba, Gashegu, Kaitare, you get it, you are a killer, you don't belong here. And they thought you were going to keep quiet. Do you know what it means? Every 4 out of 10 visitors that come to our office are being denied passports and national IDs. And when you interrogate them more, you find them that 100%. These are Ugandans. They don't have an attachment to a country called Rwanda. They see Rwanda the way they see Kenya, the way they see Zambia. You get it? I want you to read this. I think it's Directive 10. Do you have it there? I have it here. You read it. Directive 10 and 11.
So Directive 10 reads, the requirements for acquisition of passports or other identification documents must apply to all applicants equally, regardless of tribe, ethnicity, or community. If the applicant's application is supported by a letter from the local authorities and corroboration by notable elders where necessary, the applicant should be promptly issued with a national identification card or passport. The local authorities in this case are the chairperson, Local Council 1, the chairperson, Local Council 3, the Gombola Internal Security Officer, and the resident district commissioner. It goes on to say, if in the future it is proved that a person issued an identification document or passport is not a citizen, the national identity card or passport can be cancelled. And Directive 12 says, presently the law does not accord automatic citizenship to children of citizens by birth and by naturalization. A citizen produces a citizen. The Minister of Internal Affairs and the Attorney General are directed to immediately have the anomaly addressed.
Beautiful. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Nobody has the right to deny you. If you assume in the future Gashumba secured this documents illegally, summon him. Let him give you his side of the story. Now, where we had reached, there's a young boy came from Gulu. He's called Okello, but he's a Munyarwanda. And there's a small boy called Kajuga, Dixon Kajuga. And he said, how can a Munyarwanda be Okello?
Why don't?
It's very possible.
Intermarriages.
Leave that alone. If I bear the boy tomorrow, I will name him like Kabarega. If I decide to name my boy Kabarega, can you say how can a Munyarwanda bear Kabarega? Because Kabarega, that name Kabarega belongs to Wanyoro. I can decide to call my son Mwanga. You get it? That's how they had reached. First of all, another level of corruption. My God, Mr. President, you've issued an executive order. Furthermore, go for those thieves. Because, Linako, because our people were so desperate, I know a case of a young girl who paid 70 million to have her passport. 70 million. Those that have paid 2 million, 3 million, they are numberless.
Did they get the passport?
Yes.
So it's been a business
Yes.
or a ring of some
Some
sort.
of them are fighting me because I'm breaking this cartel of thugs. 2 million, 5 million. Let me give you another story. You find a family, there are 9 kids. Gashumba, Gahima, they are issued a passport. You get it? Ngarambe, Gashegu, they are denied a passport.
Same family.
Same family. The last 2 boys are told to go and naturalize. Look at that confusion. You get my point? The first 2 are issued the passports. The second 2 are denied the passports. The third, another group is told to naturalize.
Now, Mr. Gashumba, there is something you have touched on. In Uganda here, and I think in many African countries, but let's focus on Uganda. We are, among others, we are identified by tribe, by name. So why would someone of Rwandan descent give a child the name Okello? I just want you to clarify that.
Simple. There are people we admire. There are people we look at. This Okello boy, he told us the story that his father was too close to a man called Okello. They were good friends. Actually, if it wasn't Okello, they would not have bared this boy. So in the appreciation of his neighbor, he names his son Okello.
Okay.
Now, what's your first name?
Olive.
How did you become to be Olive?
My father gave me the name.
Do you know why?
No.
Sometimes we don't even know. Can you decide the name I give my son or my daughter?
No.
As who? As who? We have special friends in Uganda. Are you married?
No.
Okay. When you get married, you will choose your, how they call them? Matron. You will have reasons. You may have a special bond with this matron. And you decide, you know, my firstborn, because
of my friend.
Yes.
There
now,
is history.
this Kajuga man, His duty is very simple. Yes, Mr. Okero, can you produce additional documents from Gulu to certify that you are Ugandan? Let this young boy called Okero go to the local authorities in Gulu. He gets a letter from LC1 up to LC5 to confirm that James Okero is a son of late blah, 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 blah. You get it? Because nobody really knows us, like, where we hail from. That's what the president is saying. You get a smaller man, Kodi Habimana, cannot decide who I am. You get it? For them, they were saying every Munyarwanda should bear a name that resembles Banyarwanda, which is false.
Because we even have Baganda, and in as much as we are identified by clan, you'll find a Najuma who is not of Lugave, and she says, my mom's best friend.
And there is a couple, can I tell you, our father was a true African man. He had we are like 37 in the family. Our father was a serious man. You know, my family, you are going to find there a brother called Semand, another one called Kalema. Semand, it's a Chiganda name. You get Kalema, Baganda can give you such a name, and Banyarwanda too. You get it? And there you're going to find there Gashumba, Gahima. You have no right to ask me how I ended up having this name, because you have no right to decide the name I give my children.
Okay, we have had issues of people purporting to be Ugandan coming. Now, these ones are coming directly from Rwanda, and they're trying to take on Ugandan citizenship. And I think, do you think that because of such kinds of people, that's why the people that you like to call Bavandimwe in Uganda have been also having more trouble to be identified as Ugandans?
Do you believe the intelligence apparatus in Uganda? Do you trust it?
I think my opinion on that doesn't really matter.
It does. Ask me why.
Why?
President Museveni has been the president of Uganda for the last 40 years now, right? You think he has survived by chance?
No.
He has an entire intelligence apparatus that works 24 hours. That's why he's saying local authorities. Local authorities, he meant LC1, LC3, and the GISO. A GISO is a Gombora Intelligence Security Officer. A GISO is an operative under ISO. You know ISO?
Yes.
ISO is under Ministry of Security, right? When you bring a letter from LC1, this GISO money attached to the Gombora will re-verify, is this applicant a Ugandan? Where is his family? How long has it lived here? Then he stamps. You get it?
Yes.
When after stamping, this applicant will take this letter to the LC5. You know the LC5?
Yes.
The chairman of the district. And at the level of the chairman of the district, there is what they call a DISO, District Intelligence Security Officer. That's the person that oversees the intelligence in the entire district. This person will also verify what the LC3 person has written or has confirmed. When the moment he confirms that the information provided to me by the LC3 chairman and the GISO is authentic, he stamps it. You get it? And in the same district, we have a government official called the RDC. The RDC will also confirm that the documents provided to me are authentic. The applicant called Gashegu is a Ugandan 100%. He stamps. I can tell you, there is no indigenous Munyarwanda. We've told to go and bring such documents, and he refuses. Actually, Council for Bavandimwe, the organization that I lead, from day one, I don't recall ever signing for someone's document to recommend him, because I don't know him.
But the local authorities?
Yes. We would always tell them, my brother, I know the pain you are going through. This is the procedure. By the way, the suggestions the president is putting up now, he suggested them in 2022. He guided. This is the way we should work. Then there was a minister for internal affairs, I think, General Jeje Odong. I think it was before 2021, I don't recall very well. Jeje Odong. Jeje Odong was very appreciative, the guidance the president had given. We moved on for 3 months very well. When Kaino Tafire became the minister, and finally he came out. And now we know the names, the faces behind this hate and discrimination. Can Otafire know the people in Masaka better than the DISO?
So, Mr. Gashumba, You did say in the beginning
Yes.
that we have many borders,
Yes.
border communities.
Yes.
And the issue of identification has been not only affecting people of Banyarwanda, of
Yes.
Rwandan descent, but
No,
other...
not even Rwandan descent.
Let me finish.
Okay.
It has not been affecting only them, but even some other people from other communities. But why is it that, why in your perspective, do you think that it seems like there is a target on the people of Rwandan descent?
Now let me even correct you. When you use a Rwandan descent, you are confusing your viewers.
How so?
Banyarwanda existed in Uganda before a country called Uganda. I don't know if you are aware of that. You get it?
Okay.
Places like Ndorwa, Ntungamu, Chisolo existed in Uganda before the creation of a country called Uganda. So when you say Rwandan descent, it means these are immigrants from Rwanda. You get it?
So what's the distinction?
I'm coming. I'm going to give you the three groups.
Okay.
Do you know that the first census of Uganda, 1911, Banyarwanda were counted as an indigenous community? Do you know that?
No.
Our grandparents were counted in the 1911 census as one of the indigenous communities. This official constitution, this official cut-off year was 1926. Meaning Banyarwanda were in Uganda before the 1926. You get it?
Yes.
Article 9 states it that anyone who was in Uganda on the 8th of October 1962, a day before the independence, automatically became a Ugandan citizen. Then, hear me. The 1995 Constitution, and it seals it very well. Anyone who was a Ugandan, the day this Constitution commenced, continues to be a Ugandan. Let me give you the three categories of Banyarwanda that many Ugandans think of. That group, there are very few Ugandans who know that Banyarwanda existed in Uganda before the creation of a country called Uganda. The second group, these were economic migrants. People who migrated from Rwanda purely for economic reasons, for Cheyo. Mainly they were backed in Shambas. Do you know why there are many Banyarwanda in Inamutamba? Because of those tea farms and the rest. Those were economic migrants. People who migrated from Rwanda to come to Uganda to earn a living. That's where I belong. My grandparents migrated from Rwanda in 1922. 22.
So before 1926, you were here?
Yes, they were here. Both my grandparents were buried in Masaka. Mom's side and my father's side. My daddy too was buried in Masaka in 2019. My father's life rotated on two things, President Museveni and the NRM. I don't recall a day hearing my father mentioning a country called Rwanda. His life was Museveni and the NRM. That's a group for economic migrants. Now there's another group, the group of President Paul Kagame, the Regemas, who migrated from Rwanda for purely political reasons. How they were being mistreated. You remember how Tutsis were murdered in Rwanda? Yes. They fled Rwanda to come to Uganda and they ended up being refugees. They never lived in Uganda calling themselves Ugandans. They knew one day they will turn back home.
They were refugees.
They were refugees. Thank you very much. They were refugees. And those people who are close to President Kagame, they will tell you and Regima, they had never accepted to live in Uganda. They were here in a transit. That's the group that joined President Museveni in the bush in 1980 up to 85. After taking over 1986, what was in their mind? How do they return back to Rwanda?
And liberate their own
Wonderful.
country.
They waged the war. God was on their side and they took over government. They all returned back to Rwanda. Anyone who stayed in Uganda remains a Ugandan. Let's take those three categories. The refugees, the group of President Kagame, the late Fred Regema, they were refugees in Uganda. My grandparents, nobody forced them from Rwanda. They migrated freely. And something you should know, before 1920s, Africans were migrating freely. The way you see Banyoro coming to Uganda, Baganda going to other, do you know they are Baganda living in Ankole?
Yes.
How did they end up there?
Economic.
Simple. Can you chase away a Muganda from Ankole?
No.
You can't. But I think I think what Omubano did not do, to do massive sensitization. It's very important that Ugandans know that Banyarwanda are not intruders in this country. You get it? Because some of them look at us as if we came yesterday. No way! The Gashumba seated before you. I don't even have a plot of land of this size in Rwanda.
Now,
listen, it's very important.
Okay.
Do you know, every time I travel to Rwanda, at Kanombe Airport, they really ask me, why are you here?
Just like any other foreigner.
Thank you. Which place are you going to stay to? Or to stay in Serena Hotel?
How long?
Thank you. How long? 4 days. Beautiful. And when I go to Rwanda, Rwandans call me Omugande. Yes, they call me Omugande. They don't own me, and they are very right. I don't belong to Rwanda. Much as I wish Rwanda the best, I wish President Kagame the best, but I'm not a Rwandan.
Now,
and when I return back to Entebbe, at Entebbe International Airport, immigration officers don't ask me, who are you, why are you here? They just let me in because they know I'm a Ugandan.
Okay. Now, Mr. Gashumba, I think the other confusion comes in the sense of Rwanda, Banyarwanda. Okay? Because you asked me, what's your Najuma, you're Muganda? Yes. Okelo, you're from the north. Maybe Mutesi, not Mutesi, their names for the Itesots in the east.
Do you know Itos? It's migrated from Ethiopia.
So listen, listen. So there is Naigaga from Busoga, you get.
Yes.
So probably the confusion comes in from Rwanda, Banyarwanda. So this is when I want us to have a conversation on the council for Bavandimwe. What is the rationale?
My sister, I agree with you 100%. As long as there's a country called Rwanda, and there's an indigenous community called Banyarwanda, it will continuously confuse Ugandan. That one I agree with you. That's why we had come up with an idea calling ourselves Abavandimwe. Our mission and our focus was a Munyarwanda born in Uganda, he should be called a Muvandimwe. Because listen, citizens of Rwanda called Banyarwanda. You get it?
Yes.
And Gashumba seated here is also what?
Munyarwanda. But then he says he's a Ugandan.
Oh, you hear me? The ambassador of Rwanda to Uganda, he's a Munyarwanda. A younger boy who commutes, a young boy who boards a bus from Rwanda, and he ends up in Kampala in the evening is also called a Munyarwanda. We came up with that idea.
And the names, before we continue, the names, some of them are similar.
Not some of them, 99%. We came up with an idea as Council for Bavandimwe that, you know what, for the betterness of our children, let's come up with an idea. You know Bafumbira Ugandans, you know that?
Yes.
Do you know Bafumbira Banyarwanda?
Yes.
Bafumbira decided to say, you know what, enough is enough.
So indigenously they were not identified as Bafumbira?
No way! Look at the census conducted in Uganda. Bafumbira, I think they were first recognized after the 1995 constitution. There was no tribe called Bafumbira before 1995.
Wow, interesting.
You get it? So, Filimoni Mateke, a leader from Kisoro, and his group, they realized, you know what? Yes, our Kisoro was cut off Rwanda, but we are not Rwandans. We must come up with our own local indigenous name. And they call themselves Bafumbira because they are near Mufumbira Mountains. Council for Bavandimwe, we said, you know what? We cannot continue having this. Let's have a solution for this. We came up with an idea, Abavandimwe. You know Abavandimwe in Kinyarwanda means brethren or Uganda. We said, you know what? A Munyarwanda born in Uganda who has an attachment to a country called Rwanda, let him be called a Muvandimwe. Oh, 66% of Banyarwanda in Uganda welcomed the idea.
And what happened to the 34%?
34%. There was a group of the conservative senior citizens who fought it. It was a real battle.
Why?
Why? Because for them they're saying, from here I will die in Munyarwanda. I will tell you this, what is shocking. Muzei Donanti Kananura, the person who was the forefront fighting us, when you check Nila records, he's a Mufumbira. We are asking ourselves, in the public you portray yourself as a Munyarwanda. In the official government records you are a Mufumbira. You get it? Deep in him, he also knows the stigma behind it. Mukasambide. Mukasambide, who purports to be now a lawyer for Banyarwanda, he's a Muganda in inner records. Do you get my point? Because they know the stigma. I can tell you, yesterday, I came back, I drove from Masaka around midnight. I arrived home around 2. On our way back, it really amused me. What do we see? We see a taxi ahead of us. The guy had written on a taxi that you're moving from Buddu. You know what he meant?
Omunyarwanda from Buddu.
Munabuddu omuvandimwe. We were saying we love Rwanda. We have no issues with Rwanda. But we are not Rwandans. Let me tell you, let me ask you. Do you know Congo has ever been a country called Zaire?
Yes.
Do you know Tanzania has ever been Tanganyika?
Yes.
You get it? That's
Turkey is now Turkey.
Wonderful. Our idea was that this stigma ends with the Gashumbas. Our grandchildren, if my grandson goes to a school where there's a Muganda boy, a Musoga, a Munyakule, his friends will grow up knowing I have a friend called, let's say, Mahoro Josephine or Gashegu Peter.
And he's a
It was a 30-year master plan. They fought it, but when I meet God, I think after 40 years from today, I will join God.
Now, Mr. Gashumba,
I will tell him, sir, I did my best. I did my best.
So you've given up?
No. What we've successfully achieved, did you know it?
Well, there is the executive order. I believe your efforts have contributed to this.
It's beyond that. The issue of Banyarwanda was tabled on the floor of Parliament. Even if it's 10,000 years from today, the Hansard of Uganda will show. When we met the president last year, and I'm very grateful to the president of Uganda, he listened for 4 hours. For 4 hours. And the friends who sit in the cabinet, the following Monday, they briefed me that thank God that what? Finally, the cabinet of Uganda has discussed your matter. Then the parliament of Uganda. Now finally the executive order is out.
Mr. Gashumba, I have comments coming through, and this one is from, let me see if he left his name. He didn't give us his name, but he does say that, good morning, I'm a living example. I personally have been denied a passport even when I have provided all my documents, given a birth certificate, national ID, and Interpol certificate that is issued by government, given my report cards since my baby class till my university, of which I provided them, but still denied me a passport, and I was told to provide documents from LC1, 2, 3, 5, and the RDC letters. I even got a recommendation from my district member of parliament, but still was denied a passport. And by all, I really missed a scholarship in Germany to further my education. And he says, and almost in this, I spent over 2.5 million, but still I didn't get my passport. So on this, Mr. Gashumba, I'm really so humbled for your support. I hope this time around, I'll get my passport.
Did you?
Unfortunately, you didn't leave us with your name.
Let me tell you, these are the countless testimonies we receive every day. Every day. And someone who is telling Gashumba to bring documents that your parents exited in Uganda before 1926, he does not even have a baptism certificate.
Okay.
Do you know these guys are reached the extent of telling our people to take photos standing next to their grandparents' graves?
Wow.
That's how far they had gone.
The next comment on this, the one we'll close with, he says, good morning, Olive and Uncle Frank Gashumba. I give Gashumba big credit for being an advocate for human rights in the first place, because people have their rights of belonging and origin. Some people can fight for that, but individually, but he is all for Abavandimwe. It's another wake-up call to Ugandans to fight, I think, he said racism, but here I think he means tribalism. But how I wish he can take the same move in Rwanda, because some of our fellows here are just biased on how they were mistreated in Rwanda or how their family members there are treated. So some people are here just revenging because I hear issues of racism and tribalism in Rwanda are rampant away from Tutsi and Hutu tribal wars. I stand to be corrected. This is from Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makindye Luafu. Mr. Gashumba, we've run out of time. You have a minute to sum up.
Two things. Okay. Again, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. because at least we can afford to breathe. Finally, if your national ID was confiscated, if they had deregistered you from the NIRA platform, if you were denied a passport, this is the number to call. 0708 500 444. 0708 500 444. That number, it's both on voice and WhatsApp. You get it? And again, I hear they are losers spreading this hate that this executive order won't work. You dare challenge it. Let me tell you, if anybody in Ministry of Internal Affairs, they are challenging it by denying our people passports and national IDs. We are going to mobilize 12 million Banyarwanda in Uganda, and we are going to come at the migration there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Olive, thank you so much. I'm happy that last time we were here with Mr. Simon Monye. I wish you had invited him. This is the exact that I was telling him. Another thing, when the president was meeting us and the final meeting at State House, he invited the Attorney General. Legally, he's the only person who can advise the president on matters of law. Not these small junior officers at the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
Thank you
so we are grateful
much,
to the president.
Gashumba.
All of you Banyarwanda listening to me, all of you Ugandans, first of all, we are Ugandans, we are Africans. We should stop looking at ourselves based on where we hail from. The most important thing, we are Ugandans. Because when I travel to Germany, when I travel to UK, and I meet a black guy from South Africa or Gambia, those Bazungus don't even know that we are from different countries. They look at us like Africans.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gashumba. This conversation has been quite enlightening. I'm seeing your comments. Unfortunately, I can't share all of them, but
I'm going to Radio 4 from 9.
I'm closing with one from Munyaneza, and he says about names, our clans are similar to the clans of Baganda, owing to the length of period we have stayed in Buganda. A special relationship between us and the Baganda has become so strong that if our clans are similar, some of us adopted Chiganda names and regard themselves as brothers and sisters. This is where we will end the conversation, but we can continue moving with it on X. The hashtag is UBCJMU. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Good Morning Uganda does continue.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312 206 400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This week on UBC.
My name's Jung Gwonjong. I'm the boss of this entire hotel. My duties include heavy lifting, spreading happiness, and driving fancy cars. I'm responsible for the area by the hotel entrance. And I officially moved into the sunroom. You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what?
To maximize my space, I needed to improvise a bit. That day, she walked into my life. Hi.
So, insurance, right?
Huh? Like that? I can.
Don't let him scam you. We don't want your investments or insurance.
I met the woman of my dreams.
I'll take you home. I got the Maserati.
How do you spell Maserati?
M-A-S-H.
Okay, we're leaving. You shouldn't drive, especially not in that car. The cops will fine you extra. His family's got money and don't know what to do with it.
What's your name? Huh? I'm reporting you.
If I were to be with a guy like that, I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror.
Maybe all rich guys are like that. I'm not a rich guy. I'm down to earth. No, don't. It's not worth it. But after I met you, I suddenly got out of bed.
John Wonjong, I really was wrong about you. After meeting me, you learned to walk. This isn't a love story, it's a medical miracle.
And all the women in the club will be like sisters to me.
Respect is most important in a relationship. If a man doesn't respect a woman, then he's no man. Here, keep it safe. It's your playbook. Trying to be meaningful all day with them? In the end, you'll still be single with a bunch of new mom.
I was smiling all day, every day. When I woke up every morning, I wanted to yell out, I'm so happy. If there's such thing as a miracle.
You're not a miracle. You're a maniac.
Most of the time, our lives are lackluster. the brilliant moments, or what we call miracles. Welcome.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, we are still here on Good Morning Uganda, and you are watching us live. We are coming to you live from the broadcast house here at Nile Avenue. So thank you so much for keeping it Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, but also most importantly for starting your day with us here on Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. Now we are back with yet another interesting conversation. Last week, Uganda National Examinations Board released the PLE results, that is the primary leaving examinations for the year 2024. Now, we are evaluating those results to see what were the highs and lows. One thing stands out, and I've been part of different conversations on different platforms regarding the number of 4 aggregates that is dwindling in many what you would call the A-list schools. Schools that were known to produce a number of 4 aggregates. I know a school, it's been highlighted so much. One of the giants in our academics here in the country have been schools like, let's say, Hillside Primary School, Homesdalen, the likes of Kaboja Junior, and many more. But when you look at the numbers of 4s they got, some got 0, some got 4, some got 1, some got 5. And now the question is, what is happening? How are the LS schools that have all the resources, where parents are paying an arm and a leg in terms of school fees, why are they failing to produce the 4s? But then there is the other side of the conversation, where parents are asking poignant questions. The people that got 4s maybe 20 years ago, where are they? How are they contributing to the growth of our economy in Uganda? So, pertinent questions, answers that we are seeking for. So you can join this conversation through WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. And I will be having this conversation with Mr. William Kayongo, who is a former headmaster at Budo Junior Primary School, but also he's now working for the Education Ministry in Wakiso District. Good morning, and you're welcome.
Oh, good morning, Madam Najuma.
How
and
are you?
I want to remind you that in Uganda you would be my mom.
Oh.
Because my mother is in Abukaru.
Oh, nice to meet you once again.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, good morning, Uganda, and I want to congratulate Uganda for the celebration we had yesterday. I was in Uganda, I was an adult, and I know what we went through before the liberation. So I want to join Uganda in marking the liberation of Uganda. NRA, NRM, thank you very much for what you did for Uganda.
Okay. Yes, indeed, they did quite a great thing. And I think one thing we need to identify when it comes to the achievements of the NRM government is education.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. More and more girls are joining university today. And when you compare that to what was happening in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 60s, there is a stark difference. So to join you, I will commend the NRM on the issue of education, which is why we are here today.
Yes. In fact, the recent graduation in Makerere University, girls beat men by a fraction. Girls were 51 point about 5% as against the men who graduated. Which is a wonderful development for Uganda.
Okay, so now, Mr. Kayongo, let's have a look at the P7 results that we had from last year. Now, according to UNEB, and I'm looking at the statistics here, UNEB shows that, if you give me a moment, UNEB shows that 786,981 sat for the examinations last year. And among these, you're going to see that there is a number of 84,000 of candidates that passed in Division 1. Okay, and then we had 397,589 passing in Division 2 and 165,284 passing in Division 3, and then 64,251 were ungraded. But according to UNEB, 444 candidates from 14,883 centers registered for PLE, and compared to 749,347 in 2023. This shows that there was an increase. But let's first of all address the elephant in the room, the fours. The fours are dwindling in the schools where we think they are doing their absolute best. So I want to know from your perspective, what is happening? I'll tell you what I've heard, and then you will tell me what is happening. What I've heard, Ugandans are now of the view that fours from the academic giants in the private sector are being redistributed elsewhere. What would you say about that, in your own perspective?
This is a very pertinent discussion. The truth is, UNEB can never focus on one area and, like what is being said, that UNEB undermarked Kampala. Who are the markers when we come to marking PLE? It's the same teachers that we have in primary schools who apply to become examiners. We sort them, identify quality, and have them becoming examiners. And this year, I think, as per district and municipalities and the town councils, I think if you compare how many examiners we had, perhaps Kampala, by local government, Kampala had the biggest fraction of examiners who worked on our PLE. So you can't, it's difficult to say that Kampala examiners themselves undermarked Kampala.
Were they marking Kampala? Probably they were marking somewhere else.
When you are marking, you wouldn't know which area you are marking. But that's the truth, that no. What is really happening is this, that the only curriculum that we have been following has been with us for a long time. And because it has been with us for a long time, it was possible for a school that is able to compile past papers to be able to pinpoint areas which UNEB has been focusing on when setting examinations. And by being able to look at the topics and the likely questions that have been set over the last 20 years, one is able to almost get to the thinking of UNEB by about 90 to 95%. So that's why for some time, up to the previous year, it was possible for these big schools, because they are able to keep the statistics, they are able to compile past papers, it was possible for them to be able to outthink UNEB and having many more falls. Last year was the first time that we are examining candidates using the new curriculum. So the new curriculum, which somehow wants our candidates to use their heads much more than just recalling what they have been taught, was an examination that required a little more of the candidates than the previous years.
Maybe just for you to clarify, does primary school have a new curriculum?
The primary schools, it's not, you wouldn't say it's a new curriculum, it's the old curriculum. But the way we want the teachers to handle that curriculum is what is changing. We want a little more of our boys and girls to use their hands, to use their bodies, to be able to practically implement what they are being taught.
So that
and that's why you are pointing out, where have the force been going? What is education? Education is what remains when everything that you have learned in class has been forgotten. So, if we cram work in our heads and are not able to put it in practical ways, then what we learned stopped in the classroom. We are not using it to change the world. Education is about change. Education is about change in behavior. Now, if the change in behavior is not seen in the public, is not seen in the world of work, then we as teachers have not done our work. So, we now want our teachers in primary schools to be able to help our learners show that change. Let the world see that we have made an addition to the learner, to the child who came into school. So the way examinations are being set is requiring of this learner a little more than just recalling.
Because recalling goes with the cram work.
Yes.
Okay.
The cram work has been producing falls. And now that slightly broader way of answering the question is what is causing the reduction in the falls.
Okay. Now, on that same issue, Mr. Kayongo, in as much as I understand that the way of examining students has changed, I would still go back to, when you look at these schools, they have what you'd maybe refer to as good quality teachers, highly educated, well-trained. Then they have the resources in terms of, let's say it's practicals that are needed. When you speak to parents for children in these schools, they pay for everything. Okay, vis-a-vis children, let's say in rural areas and some in universal primary education schools that lack certain resources to enable them study well. But when you look at the trend that has been going on for like the last 5 years, but most importantly around the last 2 examination cycles, the number of 4s keeps going down in these schools. Are we saying that they focused so much on pushing the children to cram, so much so that a school will have 450 candidates and none of them gets a 4?
Now, one thing, when I am handling workshops, what we have what are called continuous development workshops for the teachers. And when I am invited as a facilitator, one thing that I stress is that if we want quality and practical education in our schools, if we want our boys and girls to produce good results and be able to go to secondary school and be performers, then our teaching must be what I call teaching with the end in mind. Teaching, and I've said it here before, teaching with the end in mind. I have not yet re-examined the papers that were produced last year, were done last year. But in 2023, I gave the mathematics paper to a girl who had completed P1, and she was able to do 2 numbers in the math papers that was done at PLE. She was able to do 5 numbers in the English paper that was done at PLE. And what does this show us? If you are handling P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, handle your teaching while focusing on PLE. Now, what does UNEB do? UNEB looks at a topic that is taught in P3, for example, and says, what will the average teacher cover on this topic in P3? And I'll give the example of a housefly. And UNEB will say, what will the average teacher cover on the housefly in science? And the average teacher will look at all the bad things about the housefly. Now, UNEB at PLE will come and say, A, give us 2 reasons why we should fight the housefly in the home. And B, give 2 ways in which the housefly is valuable to a home.
Now all the students will have answers to A.
They will have answers to A,
but not answers,
but they will have no answers for B. And very far back in 1997, when the Sabataka had just come back to Uganda, who is now His Highness the Kabaka of Buganda, in social studies, UNEB said, A, give us 2 advantages of kingdoms. Okay? And perhaps every Muganda child was happy that this question had been set. But B was, give 2 disadvantages of kingdoms. And you would imagine which Muganda teacher, which Muganda average teacher will focus on a disadvantage of a Kabaka to Buganda. To Buganda.
I mean, even if you ask adults right now, you may not get answers.
Yes. So, out of 100, you already have 2 marks off. And this is the way UNEB does its work. UNEB wants you to look at a topic, look at the east part of it, the north part of it, the west part of it. Go over the topic in a broad manner.
But now, Mr. Kayongo, if this is the requirement by UNEB, why is it that the teachers in many schools are not doing it? Because at the end of the day, what matters is this last exam, at least for now. So why are teachers not following that? And yet they are also the examiners.
This is a very broad topic that perhaps we may not be able to cover in this 1 hour. But what is the quality of teachers that we have in primary schools? Having a degree or having a diploma is not making you a quality teacher for a primary school. Unfortunately for Uganda, we had teachers who trained in Busubizi, who trained in Namutamba, who trained in Ndeje, and these teachers had just finished their P7. Now, those teachers were quality teachers because they used to select those who had been the best in Uganda to go and become teachers. Unfortunately now, we have teachers going for the diploma, but who have not been able to go to medicine, who have not been able to go to engineering, and who are at the lower end
of the education barrel
achievement. And these are the people who are going for training as teachers. So what you put in is what you get out. And unfortunately, those grade 2 teachers from Namutamba, from Busubizi, from Ndeje are gradually going out, are all retiring. So we now have diploma teachers, we have degree teachers, who unfortunately themselves are not quality, but even their trainers have not been able to go over the primary school syllabus. Look at the professors. These professors are not able to handle the primary school curriculum, and they are teaching people to go and handle the primary school curriculum. So we have a problem in Uganda.
There is a disconnect.
There is a disconnection between who are training our teachers and what kind of teachers we are sending out.
Now, there is this. For many other sectors, let's say medicine, let's say law, or even journalism here, and maybe the other arts, because lately things are changing. We have more students going to study maybe interior decoration. Others are studying maybe cosmetology, makeup and whatnot. But there is one underlying thing for all of them, the passion. You'll find someone who is a journalist and they tell you, growing up I wanted to be one of two, either a lawyer or a journalist. I became a journalist. Or someone who was a lawyer. They are not there accidentally. In most cases, they knew that's what they wanted and they were passionate about it. But when you come to the teaching profession, would you say that passion also has to contribute to how well someone delivers, how well they teach and train the children, or as long as you had the grades, that's all that matters?
You have hit the bull's eye. You have hit the bull's eye. Passion has gone out in many of our teachers. We say they are quality teachers because they are teaching in big schools in Kampala. But in the first place, they never chose to become teachers. They became teachers because they were not able to go to medicine. The current doctors, doctors somehow have all their lives worked to become doctors. Engineers have, lawyers have, but these people have become teachers because that was the last resort.
They had another dream.
They had another dream. And these days when I go to primary schools for inspection, I tell the pupils, what I see is what I will be. What I see is what I will be. If you see yourself becoming a doctor, you work hard to become a doctor. And when you become a doctor, you're a different type of doctor. I myself, as early as 1973, I chose to become a teacher.
You wanted it?
I wanted to become a teacher because I had looked at Mr. Bajabaira, who taught me in P1. Miss Bulega, who taught me in P2. And I said, I want. And then I had an uncle who was the headmaster of the school, Mr. Esau Serunjoji. And I said, I want to be as smart as Mr. Serunjoji. He was our headmaster. Now, those kind of people have now are becoming smaller and smaller in our schools. People who have got the passion to teach. People who are able to, I have got 70 aspects which I think make a quality school. But those people who are able to give 100% are becoming less and less.
Okay, now let's look at the ones that actually have the passion. They want to teach. They live to see their students excelling, but they're losing the passion. Why are they losing the passion?
Several things happen. Several things. Number one, secondary school. In secondary school, the government has come in really well for the science teachers. But for primary schools, especially the UPE schools, we still have a big problem. And for private schools, which are not in the high-end schools, we have teachers who are being paid only 200,000, and this man is renting. Yes, I know it. Yes, in very many private schools, not the high end, but we have got teachers who are being paid only 200,000, and you want them to produce good results. People do not know this. People have set up schools not to teach effectively, but to make money. When you set up a school to make money, you don't teach and you also don't get the money. If you set up a school to teach effectively, you are able to teach effectively, and down the road, the money also comes to you. Unfortunately, many people who set up schools, the focus is on the profit and not on the teaching.
Now, Mr. Kayongo, you're the Principal Education Officer of Wakiso District. We've had many conversations on the education sector here, and there is always the issue of supervision that is said to be lacking. Now here, let's have a look at government-aided schools. You find that when the national examination results come back, that government-aided schools are the ones at the bottom of the barrel in terms of performance. Some will perform really well, but majority that are especially universal primary education, universal secondary education, the results are really not that encouraging. And one of the issues that has been mentioned severally is that maybe teachers are not showing up to work, some are engaging in different hustles, and teaching that is supposed to be their main job is now their side hustle, so to speak. So, and it has been basically blamed on one, among others, poor supervision. What would you say about that?
Yes, we can say in some areas the supervision is not good. But who is supposed to do the supervision in school? The first supervisor in the school is the head teacher and the deputy. They are supposed to be the first supervisors. And we even now have what is called a performance-based system of administration in our schools. At the beginning of the year, the head teacher signs an agreement on targets that he or she wants to achieve in that particular year. Now, supervision is one of them. Produce, how many times have you been able to supervise each of your teachers? Unfortunately, for some of the schools we have, true, some head teachers are not doing their work. But then number two, we have got the inspectors and the education officers. But the amount of work which, because of many private schools, our focus should not be only on the government-aided schools. We also have the private schools that must be supervised, because it's only the buildings and the ownership which is private. But the child who is there
belongs to the government.
Belongs to the government.
Yes.
So we must go there. So the amount of work that we have got to do is really huge. And that's why sometimes the inspection, the supervision is lower than it should have been. But number two, there is a way Uganda is focusing only on PLE results and forgetting what other qualities the pupils will have picked up in school. And I want to say, in many of our UPE schools, pupils pick a little more than just the PLE results.
How so?
Okay? Being able to go to a garden and learning to grow tomatoes. Being able to plant and learn the value of planting trees. Being able to clean the compound, because our UPE schools have at least a slightly bigger compound and pupils are able to do some work outside classroom. These are qualities and skills that sometimes we forget, that yes, the child may not have got the 4, but this child has got a little more that will help him as a Ugandan.
Well, we are evaluating the P7 results from last year, 2024. As you may be aware, Uganda National Examinations Board did release the primary leaving examinations for the year 2024 last Thursday. And when this happened, there was the issue of the dwindling number of 4 aggregates that the schools that we have come to know as the giant schools in the country not getting any of them. An issue Mr. Kayo Kayongo here has addressed, and I think he has done his best to address it effectively. But also we have looked at other factors. Among those, why teachers are losing their passion when it comes to teaching. And he did say that some people, or many of those that are in the teaching profession, are there not because they wanted to be teachers, but there mainly because it is the second best thing that they could do after failing to get into the courses that they had desired. Some wanted to be medical doctors, but the points they got, or even the government scholarship they got, could only take them to study education. I actually have a living example myself. My big brother wanted to be a lawyer, but then he ended up studying education. And then later on, he had to jump ship and go back to law school. He's now a practicing lawyer. So Mr. Kayongo, the things he's saying, he's coming from somewhere. I have comments coming through, and you too can join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. The same number is displayed on your screen. You can send in your views and questions to us. Now, Alexon Kamgisha says, talking about the new curriculum, should we say that upcountry schools adopted the new curriculum or the new way of teaching in primary school compared to urban schools? Because the results we are seeing is that urban schools are lagging behind, and upcountry schools seem to have gotten the new principles.
What he's pointing out is right, because upcountry schools, because we are not, as Ugandans, we are not demanding a little more from the upcountry schools on producing force. But in Kampala, we are still demanding the force, and the teachers are still focusing on their old ways of doing, of handling the curriculum and preparing our learners for the PLE. Upcountry, because of the less demand for force, the upcountry schools are now coming up to be because they are able to produce what UNEB wants, because they are doing it the way it should have been all along.
Okay.
But Kampala, unfortunately, and even Wakiso, where I teach, where I do my work, we are still focusing on the old ways of focusing on force.
Okay, now I get where you're coming from. I've had many parents, now those are the opponents of force. They're saying force are not really helpful in real life, and we all know that. Someone said emotional intelligence, financial literacy, and psychology are all these kids need on top of whatever they specialize in. Then the world will be their oyster. Now, against this comment, Mr. Kayongo, there is the focus on force. It is the national standard of grading. It's the national standard of getting into a school that some parents are dreaming of. And let's talk about the big 8, the likes of Namagunga, the likes of King's College Budo, Namilyango, St. Mary's College Chisubi. To get into such schools, you must have between 4 to 5 or maybe 6 for girls, for some of them, but not all. So what do we do? How do we strike the balance? Because the national standard for grading is still 4 aggregates for best student. But now we are saying it's not really that important. So how do we strike this balance?
Gentle people who are listening and watching this program, if you have been able to do statistics, a little bit of statistics, you know that what we have got what is called a normal curve. Okay? And the normal curve is such that aggregate force, the aggregate force should be only 0.5% of all the candidates. That's that. The truth is, what has come out is exactly what the normal curve says. Gentle people, if a school has got 100 candidates and it produces 40 or 50 fours, that's not a normal curve. The fours should be the quality, should be the Chabayinzes, should be the Wachikus of Uganda, should be the Chiriowa Chiwanuka. You know Chiriowa Chiwanuka? He scored his 4 and he's our Attorney General.
You were his teacher.
I was his teacher, and I know what he is.
So what you're saying is that all of us cannot be
Budonians who are listening, who are watching this program, you know Wachiku. And Wachiku is not a common kind of person. So the force should be really force. Unfortunately, we have got artificial force that have been coming out of Kampala.
What you're saying is very poignant because all of us cannot be giants. No. We may have talents in different areas, but we can't say that in Class A we have 50 giants.
No, you can't.
That's why not everyone goes to Cambridge.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The force should be real. Kampala has been producing force which are artificial.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Now, I have another question still from Alex on Kamgisha, and he says, looking at question interpretation and grammar, upcountry schools have a problem of language barrier. How did they manage to excel?
And that's why Budonians who have gone through my hands know that in my time as head teacher, I would never punish any child who spoke Luganda.
Oh, speak about that.
No, I would never punish any child who spoke Luganda.
Traumatized by punishment.
And Kabinjans, we would call ourselves Kabinjans. They would go to King's College. And when they went to King's College, they would find space at King's College and speak their Luganda. Even the Sudanese who had come to Budo Junior School, they would go out of Budo Junior School having learned Luganda.
Okay, that I get, Mr. Karim.
Let me just push it on, just 1 minute.
Okay.
You are an adult.
Yes.
You've gone through school.
Yes.
When I ask a question in English, how do you think, how do you interpret that question? In English or in your local language?
To be honest, lately I speak more English than Luganda, so I will think in English. But I hear where you're coming from. In most cases, we think in the language that is more predominant.
Yes.
So if Luganda is the language you communicate in most of the time, you will think in Luganda.
So our up-country children who have had the chance to speak English, study in English, but also stress their local language, are able to think and interpret better than we who have forced English on our children in Kampala.
This person, the question is on question interpretation and poor grammar. We know that when your neighbor is marking, all of these matter. For example, maybe as a teacher, you can correct me actually, you could say that this matters most in subjects like English, but not in subjects like social studies, as long as you have the actual idea that is needed.
Now, again, I'll give you the example. You know Life Boy? The word Life Boy?
Yes.
If you want to spell Life Boy, I who had a chance to study in Uganda and English, for me to be able to recall the spelling of Life Boy, my spelling, this is what I keep in my mind, Life Boy.
That's how I learned spellings.
Yes,
and
that's why our up-country children are becoming better at grammar, at spelling than our children on whom we are forcing a foreign language.
Okay. I think that has been well explained because I've understood it. I hope you have too. Now, another comment coming in from John. Alleluia John, teacher Alleluia John from Chenjojo. He says, as the president preaches about being in the money economy, teachers' pay should be thought about. Low pay kills zeal. Inspection is also poor in government schools, and for this reason, private schools where supervision is working have better results. The government has to focus on primary education if change is to be achieved.
I will say this. Every primary school has got a school management committee. And I want to request whoever is a member of a school management committee, especially in our UPE schools, take up your responsibility. You as management committees are supposed to be the supervisor, the immediate supervisors and immediate implementers of government policy in your school. So when we say that private schools have got a little more supervision, it's because our school management committees are forgetting what they are supposed to do.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kayongo William. Now, I would like to hear your parting shots.
I want to say to Ugandans, Nelson Mandela said, education is the most important weapon that can be used to change the world. Education is what is going to be used to change Uganda. But it is relevant education. It is practical education. When we hear, we forget. When we see, we remember. When we do, we have got education for life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kayongo. Now, I'll close with a comment from Dan in Kasese, who says, we have seen students from most private schools, especially who always yield first grades, fail in high school, and the ones from less privileged schools and UPE schools with second grades succeeding in high school. Your comment is long, but that's where I will end. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Up next is Sports Updates.